Welcome, everybody, to the Burke Brigade, brought to you by
TheLibertyDaily.com, your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Thank you for visiting TheLibertyDaily.com. And I've got to say, the Liberty Daily has been experiencing record traffic almost every day. It's literally doubled in the past several days. It's been all organic.
On fire.
It's on fire. And what it is...
That side is on fire.
And what people like about it, they like that it almost exclusively links to conservative sites.
We don't give traffic to the libs.
So we're not propping up the Democrat media complex. And we are linking to reliable sources that we found, tell truth have told truth. They're reliable. They're not fake news. And, they're not part of the leftist media cabal.
The leftist echo chamber.
Now, where this traffic has been coming from is people have been getting on websites and commenting, wasn't us, just like out of the blue, and people have been upset with Drudge, and they've gone on sites like Free Republic, for example, and they've commented, hey, check out the Liberty Daily as an alternative to the Drudge Report. So the word is getting out. It's completely grassroots,
organic. We had
which
nothing
makes
to
sense.
do with it. Yep.
We run it, the Liberty Daily, and we're old Tea Partiers. We went to the first Tea Party rally, the first modern day Tea Party rally in Seattle in February of 2009, didn't we, honey?
Yes, we did. We were there, and then I spoke at the rally, the second rally in 2010.
In Bellevue, right?
No, I spoke in Westlake.
Oh, was it Westlake?
And then I spoke in Bellevue.
And then you spoke. Your memory's so much better than mine. So anyway, check out thelibertydaily.com. I'm pretty sure
and
you're going to like it. Yeah, share. Thank you so much. So let's start at the top here. President Trump just got done speaking a little bit ago at a rally in Phoenix. And before we get into some of the important details of his speech, you were just looking on social media and getting some alerts on your phone that there's beginning to be a little bit of mayhem.
Yes, because, the left loves to stir things up. I'm surprised, actually, that more didn't happen beforehand, because remember when he spoke in Fountain Hills, Arizona. An area basically full of older people and retirees. Yes, there's younger people there, but that's what it's known for. These leftists were actually blocking the highway. There's one entrance in and one entrance out to Fountain Hills, and they were blocking the highway. So I'm surprised there wasn't more that happened. But just tonight, from a friend, said that, where is it? Facebook, I hate the way they put things out. Anyway, there was tear gas being deployed. The leftist agitator terrorists were in full-blown mode, causing chaos in Phoenix. So I'll, be checking social media. I'm looking at my news alerts to see what's going on there. Because, George Soros, this is what he does. He causes chaos, mayhem, panic to try to tear down a society. It's his M.O.
Yeah, that's right, because the left cannot debate based on the merits of the... See?
Our dogs are even upset about it. Go get him, guys.
That's how bad he is. Second voice. Okay, anyway, George Soros, he is funding this commie goon squad that is trying to disrupt this Trump rally, which has ended now, but people are exiting, and it's dark now here in Arizona. So, these communist, anti-American
That's when they like to do their work, in the dark.
They like to come out and do their rabble-rousing with their little cowardly black hoods on. And the Daily Caller reported local leaders of Indivisible, which is one of the many resistance protest groups, formed as a direct response to Trump's election. I might add, because they were butthurt and still can't get over that, their goddess Hillary, their ugly corrupt goddess Hillary got her butt kicked. Back to quoting, are organizing thousands of protesters associated with a coalition of left-wing groups ahead of Tuesday's event. In addition to organizing mass protests outside the rally, Indivisible is encouraging protesters to register for tickets inside the rally itself, increasing the likelihood that protesters, I wish they quit calling them protesters.
Right, they're not protesters.
Call them rioters, call them agitators.
Anarchists.
Yeah, they're commie pinkos, that they will disrupt Trump's speech, as often happens at Trump's rally. And although originally founded by activists, they're not activists, they're terrorists actually,
right.
Not backed by donors, Indivisible's website now states that the group, quote, is a project of the Advocacy Fund, which is a progressive advocacy group that, in other words, when you hear that, it's a communist front group. They use these fancy words, these fancy-smancy words that are written by these wordsmiths to cover up the fact that they are America-hating communists.
And trying to garner sympathy.
So this Open Society, the Policy Center, is an arm of George Soros' umbrella organization, the Open Society Foundations, which is the ultimate communist front group that funds all these other little front groups under these obscure patriotic-sounding names to cover up their true identities in the same way as these, black-hooded cowards cover up their faces. So that's who's trying to disrupt things now that this has ended. And, can I ask you a question? When is George Soros going to be arrested and charged with treason?
We've been waiting for years.
It's not legal to try to overthrow the government.
Right.
It's not legal to try to subvert the U.S. Constitution. That's not part of free speech. I mean,
no.
If you don't like the country, get the hell out.
Right, exactly. But this is what he does. This is what he does. He tries to overthrow a government. He tries to dismantle a country so he can make more money after devaluing its currency.
Right.
But that's okay. George Soros is one of the multi-billionaires that the left likes because he funds their anti-American groups.
Yeah, they hate America. They hate everything it stands for. They hate the Constitution. They hate God, for sure, because
Definitely.
they think George Soros is their God. Okay, let's just take a little bit of a, what would you call it? Not a distraction. Let's just take a side street here to Crazy Town. Should we go to Crazy Town?
On the crazy train.
So, this is not The Onion. This is not fake news. This is not satire. But boy, I wrote about this and everybody thought I was joking. But no, that's how crazy it is.
Looney Town.
So this came over tonight. Clay Travis from OutkickTheCoverage.com is the first one that originally reported this, so I'll give him the credit. And he calls, this is under the title, ESPN, has gotten so liberal. ESPN, so it's ESPN, but he's like comparing it to MSNBC, because they've turned into a little, a bunch of social
liberal
justice.
commune.
Why don't you just report the damn sports?
Right?
People watch sports to escape from politics.
To escape. I mean, seriously, ESPN, you aren't satisfied with their decline in revenue.
They don't care.
You have to just push it down the drain
their
even more.
religion, their communist religion, their false progressive god of political correctness comes first. So listen to this. They polled an Asian. I mean, how racist is that?
Sue them.
An Asian announcer.
This is insane. It's ludicrous, ridiculous, and
named. Listen to this.
If it weren't true, it would be freaking the biggest
this
joke
is
of
like
all time.
Straight out of The Onion. They polled an Asian announcer named Robert Lee off of the University of Virginia's college football game because it sounded too much like
Robert E. Lee.
The Confederate general that has, after 150 years, suddenly leftists butthurt about it because they have a war on history and want to destroy the American culture. Unreal. So here's Insane's ESPN's statement.
Ooh, check out the second word in this statement. We collectively, a.k.a. Communistic code words.
Yeah, isn't that a dog whistle?
Yes, dog whistle.
That's saying they're collectivists. In other words, we the commies.
Right. We the commies made the decision. Be honest, ESPN.
This is folks, this is their real
official statement.
This is how, these are the leftist lunatics that are running the #1 sports network in the world.
Is it still #1?
Well, there's only like 2. So
made the decision with Robert to switch games as the tragic events in Charlottesville were unfolding, simply because of the coincidence of his name. In that moment, it felt right to all parties.
Oh, it felt.
It is a shame that this is even a topic of conversation, and we regret that who calls play-by-play for a football game has become an issue. It's become an issue, ESPN.
Because you made it one.
Because you made it an issue. Robert,
do they think people are actually going to protest
Robert,
this?
Did you really
go to them?
Go to them and say, "Hey, I think I should be pulled."
I sound my name. I'm not Asian.
If they
and I sound like Robert E. Lee. Can you please suspend me from this game? Thank you.
If they ask you,
he did not say that,
to change your name
that's
because
utter
it's
bullshit.
Too close to Robert E. Lee, would you agree? This is absolutely ridiculous. This is how stupid we are as a society. I have to read you this tweet by the great Matt Walsh.
While you're looking that up, Clay Travis, who is not politically correct, he said, "Did I mention that Robert Lee is Asian? Is this even life anymore? This might even be worse than ESPN apologizing for the fantasy football slave auction a couple of weeks ago." I'd forgotten about that. Remember that? They're so stupid. You have auctions in football, and they, had it live, and they had, the auctioneer was standing up there with people's heads on a stick, and, a lot of the players are black, and so, like, Odell Beckham and stuff got offended and thought it resembled a slave auction too much.
Never mind that ESPN probably did something similar a couple of years ago. All the rules have changed. But the great Matt Walsh, when he was talking about the changing of the coverage of Robert Lee, the Asian man Robert Lee, who is being ostracized and demoted for having a similar name to Robert E. Lee, Matt Walsh said, "This is it. This is the basement. America cannot get any dumber. This is the dumbest possible level of dumb. Absolutely dumb. The sum of all dumbs."
Look at him, honey. He's Asian, good-looking young Asian gentleman. Does he look like Robert E. Lee to you?
No.
Does he look like a Confederate statue to you?
You got to hear these other tweets because it really calls.
Oh, he keeps going?
Yeah. He said,
Matt Walsh,
"I'm calling for all radio stations to pull Michael Jackson off the air because his name is far too reminiscent of Stonewall Jackson."
That's a great
How can
point.
MSNBC keep Joe Scarborough on the air when he shares a first name with Confederate General Joseph Johnston? SMH, racist at its worst. I call for ESPN President John Skipper to resign immediately because he shares the first name of Confederate Postmaster General John Reagan. I mean, really, that's how stupid that we have become, that you want to pull a guy from doing his job, a job that you hired him to do. I wonder how long Robert Lee has worked for ESPN. A job that you hired him to do. It
doesn't matter if it's one day or 25 years. It would have been the same decision.
Because now the commies of Antifa and Black Lives Matter are demanding that America erase its racist history courtesy of the Democrats so they can bring, and they're opposing, quote, fascism and seeking peace through violence.
Yeah, they're opposing fascism because they want something even worse, communism.
Yep.
That's a great thing about conservatives. You can be against both and be totally righteous about it with no regrets whatsoever. So could ESPN possibly get any. I can just imagine these useful idiots sitting around collectively making this decision. What the hell is wrong with them?
For those who are brand new to the Burke Brigade, let the record show. My husband laughs at me every time I say this. I'm a black woman. I've been black my entire life. I'm more black than the first half-black president of the United States. I'm more black than the black-faced white woman who masqueraded as a black woman as she served as NAACP president in Spokane, Washington.
So funny.
I'm not insulted by Robert Lee's name. I look at those statues. I'm a history buff. I took a trip through the South on my way to Boston from Texas. I look at those statues and I'm in awe of their beauty, and I think about the history and what it means. You learn from history. And one of the things you learn from history is to seek not to repeat it. But see, this is a problem. In education, we have, I remember a couple of years ago in Texas, Democrats in Texas were trying to strip any mention of the Founding Fathers from history textbooks in Texas. Fortunately, conservatives in Texas outnumbered them, and they were able to put a stop to that. But Democrats were so ingrained in that racist history, from slave ownership to the KKK to the Jim Crow laws. It was all about them. That is part of the reason why they want to erase it, because it helps them then attribute it to Republicans.
But if you erase the history, future generations will not learn from it.
Right, they'll repeat it.
Right.
But that's what they want. They want to squash free speech. Any speech they don't agree with is hate speech. And they have organizations like YouTube and Facebook and ESPN and all these other and all these corporations that agree with them and are basically attacking conservatives or anyone with a message counter to progressive communistic ideology. Communism in America. Who'd have thought? Our founders must be rolling in their graves. Martin Luther King must be rolling in his grave.
That's exactly right. And YouTube, off topic here slightly, but they're owned by Google, and they're on a big kick now, a big demonetization kick, where they're demonetizing any video clip that they deem politically incorrect.
Including speeches by elected officials.
Oh, yeah. Just basic news reports or discussions on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. They will say it's not appropriate for all advertisers, for every single one. And so what they're doing is they're shutting down, they're disincentivizing, is that a word? Conservatives from posting video clips that further conservative principles on YouTube, because they're part of this little commie pinko cabal that is owning.
Controlist.
Yeah, they're controllists. They're controlling communications. They're controlling data, and it's a very dangerous thing. And hopefully somebody comes along and kicks their ass.
Yeah, remember when Obama
in the free market.
When Obama won the election in 2008, he was praised by the leftist media for his prolific use of social media, for the way he channeled the power of social media. Well, not many Democrats followed him, but the right side of the political aisle did. And conservative new media became a big, huge, powerful voice. That's why you had Democrats start talking about needing to regulate the media. They wanted to, these people who now support these communists who are doing anti-free speech rallies, wanted to, remember this, honey? Designate authorized reporters. They didn't like these bloggers.
Right.
They didn't like this conservative new media.
That's right.
They wanted to designate who was authorized to report the news, because they know.
Who's that, Pelosi or Feinstein or some of those California commies?
Yep. They wanted to handpick license who could report the news, and therefore give themselves the ability to shut down those people whose message they did not like.
Right. So here's how the quiz might go. Do you agree with communism? Yes or no? If you answer no, you don't get your license.
Yeah. If you answer
yes,
yes,
do you worship Karl Marx? Yes, you get approved. If the answer is no, you don't. Do you think Barack Obama is God? If you answer yes, you get approved. So it would probably go along like that. But speaking of history here, and we went over a couple of these the other day, but it just bears repeating because I'm so sick of the left. I mean, they just literally make me puke.
Ew.
This doesn't take a rocket scientist, and this proves they are. This war on history from the left has got nothing to do with racism. It's got nothing to do with slavery, any of that. They are trying to destroy our culture and our history like they do when they try to take over and destroy every country. Like they did during the French Revolution and every other communist revolution. First thing they do is destroy the history and the culture. Mm-hmm. Here's the evil Robert E. Lee, who never owned slaves, by the way. He said, in this enlightened age, there are few, I believe, but what I will acknowledge, that slavery as an institution is a moral and political evil in any country. It is useless to expatiate, what's that word? Expatiate? On its disadvantages. He was the dirty little secret. Robert E. Lee was not for slavery. Here's another quote. The war was an unnecessary condition of affairs and might have been avoided if forbearance and wisdom had been practiced on both sides. So he was not even, necessarily for the war. Here's another one against slavery. While we see the course of the final abolition of human slavery is onward, and we give it the aid of our prayers and all justifiable means in our power, we must leave the progress as well as the result in his hands, who sees the end. In other words, he did not want to go to war. He did not want 700,000 people to die. That doesn't mean he was for slavery. So, and he wasn't even a slave owner. Like Trump said on Monday, I believe it was, they're going after George Washington. They're going to go after Thomas Jefferson.
Angela Rye.
And she stepped right into it.
The angry black woman out of
you're such a racist.
I can say
God,
that.
You're racist.
Eric Holder has said I am incapable of being racist because I'm black, so I can say whatever the heck I want.
Well, we're one flesh, so I guess that means I'm.
I absolve you. But Angela Rye, the angry black woman from the People's Republic of Seattle, who has the statue of Butcher Vladimir Lenin front and prominent in Fremont Square, said that she thinks that the monuments to Washington and Lincoln should be destroyed.
Right.
She's highly educated and was so overly discriminated against, I guess, that she was able to go get her big-time education.
Brainwashed.
Right? Oh, yeah, I think her father was a community organizer in Seattle.
Oh, shocker. Community organizer, i.e. communist agitator. Okay, so President Trump tonight, let's jump back to the rally in Phoenix. He hit the media right in the nuts.
Boom.
I mean, kneecapped them for bastardizing his Charlottesville comments, and they did bastardize them.
Yep.
They completely lied about what he said. They completely
lied. They went on and on and on with their fabricated lies.
He supports neo-Nazis.
Then they did. Remember when their savior Barack Obama cracked a joke after 13 members of the Army at Fort Hood in Fort Hood, Texas, were killed by a radical Islamist terrorist, which Obama deemed as a workplace violence incident.
Unreal.
The night that they were killed, Obama cracked a joke.
Yeah.
They were fine with that.
He was so shook up. He was so shook up about it. So Trump, what he did was he read his initial speech. He read his initial speech to the media again, and he reminded them that he said, racism is evil. Now, I don't know how much clearer you can get. When you say racism is evil,
I don't remember hearing Barack Obama say that.
Does that not include the KKK?
Right.
Does that not include white supremacists, white nationalists?
I don't recall Obama saying that.
And you know what? When you say racism is evil, it also includes these black supremacist groups, like the Black Lives Matter terrorist group,
who were calling for the murder of police officers.
Yeah, that goes around murdering cops. Not a problem.
Who were standing at voting stations with billy clubs.
Yeah, that wasn't intimidation at all. So I think it's perfectly fine in this day and age to call out all racism. That we should all go straight, full on Martin Luther King and stop judging people based on the color of their skin and start judging them by the content of their character. But as we know, that's not what the left needs. Nope. They have to have racism in order to survive. They have to have victimhood.
They have to have victimhood. Say it.
Okay, so President Trump. Here's what I said, referring to his Monday speech where he got, clubbed by the media over and over. We're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. How is that vague? They're saying, well, he didn't call them out. How in the hell is that not calling him out? I just don't get it.
You're dealing with a media who believes that it is their job to tell people what to think. Therefore, they will twist, turn, go into what was that game? Twister, pretzel, anything Trump has to say to make people believe that what he said was racist. Doesn't matter what it is. Donald Trump could stand on a podium and directly say, the KKK is a racist group. And the media would then turn around. And the media, look at this. And the media would turn around and say, well, he said the KKK. He didn't mention the skinheads. Or he said the KKK, but he didn't mention X group.
So Trump, is not the clearest, most eloquent speaker in the world. And we certainly are willing to call him out when he's wrong, when he's not furthering conservative, founding principles that will make America great again. But that's just not one of them. He was as clear as a bell, but he could have killed a KKK member up on stage, and it would not have been good for the media, because just like this Trump-Russia thing, but which, by the way, do you notice how that's gone?
It's gone. They realized it wasn't working.
Yeah, so move on. So now it's like they go from Russia to racist.
24/7. That's all CNN
Whatever happened to that? It's gone.
All CNN. What's Rachel Maddow? Over and over and over. Rachel Madcow. Sorry, I forgot to call her by her real name.
So, but one of the things that Trump did. Oh, I didn't mean to play that yet. I wish he would have. He didn't pardon Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who had the nickname as America's toughest sheriff. He's 85 years old. And the Obama administration targeted him because he was enforcing immigration laws that are on the books in a non-politically correct manner, in a way that offended snowflakes. And for that, they want to put the man in jail. And so a lot of us here in Arizona had hoped that Trump would use his opportunity to stick it up the left's keister and pardon him tonight. But he did not, and so we'll see if he will. But I tell you what he did do. He strongly hinted at it. Let's listen.
I'm just curious. Do the people in this room like Sheriff Joe?
I think that's a yes. Do you hear how long that reaction was?
Yep.
So there's thousands in that arena in Phoenix, and Sheriff Joe pretty popular.
Was Sheriff Joe convicted for doing his job? That's what...
Yes. But the Democrat Party and Obama, they didn't want him to do his job, did they?
No.
They want open borders. Why?
Yep.
They want new Democrats.
Yep.
They want to take these...
They need a new group to victimize.
Yes, they need to make a new victim.
They've used and abused and brainwashed blacks.
Right.
And now they need a new victim class.
They need a new race to fit conveniently under their thumb so they can get dependent on government and therefore vote for them.
He should have had a jury, but you know what? I'll make a prediction. I think he's going to be just fine, okay?
Okay.
So there's a prediction right there, right?
Yeah, the media had no problem. The leftist media, the Democrat media complex, those in bed with the Democrat Party, had no problem with Obama went to bed with when Obama went to bed with Cuba, but didn't demand
Communist
in return
Cuba.
Communist Cuba, but didn't demand in return that Cuba, who has been harboring a cop killer for decades, didn't demand that they return her to the States. Media was fine with that.
Oh, she's an iconic figure.
Yeah, but this
Colin
leftist media
Kaepernick probably had a T-shirt of her.
has a problem with the enforcement of immigration law.
Yeah, unfreaking real.
But I won't do it tonight because I don't want to cause any controversy. Is that okay? All right? But Sheriff Joe can feel good.
So that's pretty funny, right? So he's saying, you know what, I'm not going to pardon him tonight. I'm pretty sure he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be fine.
He'll be all right.
Yeah,
All right.
he'll be all right.
All right.
In other words, if he doesn't pardon him now, there's going to be some people disappointed because he sharply insinuated that Sheriff Joe Arpaio is going to be pardoned. As he should be, in my humble opinion. Okay, let's move on to, we have one of the most, if not the only, let me pull this up here, honest liberals left in America. I mean, who are the honest liberals that you can think of? Can you think
Not
of any?
many.
Can you think of any?
Alan Dershowitz.
Okay, that's it.
Sometimes, Jonathan Turley.
Jonathan Turley.
And then
Yep.
sometimes Doug Schoen. Sometimes he goes into Hillary Clinton apology.
Oh, and his
and
sidekick,
Pat
Cadell.
Cadell.
And every once in a while, Kirsten Powers, not always,
Yeah.
but a little bit. She's made a couple strides. She went pro-life, which was really good. And then there's that chick on
Ebony Williams.
on Fox. She's a reasonable liberal. I mean, we obviously
I'm
don't agree
surprised
with
she
her
hasn't
much.
at least gone independent because it
Who'd
doesn't
she
seem
call out
like,
the other day?
oh gosh, who was that? Doesn't seem like she really stands much with the Democrat Party on most things.
She called out somebody who was just freaking crazy. But anyhow, let's listen to Alan Dershowitz, who went completely off on the leftist lunatics that are glorifying the anti-American communist Antifa, George Soros-funded goons. Let's
remember that President Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, put 110,000 Japanese Americans into detention centers. That President Lowell of Harvard imposed.
Oh, you're not supposed to say that. You mean Democrat Franklin Roosevelt, the most worshipped lefty in American history, other than maybe Karl Marx from the left?
Right.
I mean, certainly the most revered American president, because he came the closest to implementing their communist
you can bet your
agenda.
You can bet your bottom dollar that if FDR had been a Republican and hadn't turned Japanese Americans, during a war, that when Trump was talking about his travel ban preventing Muslim terrorists from entering the country, the left would have been constantly referring back to FDR. I never heard them talk about FDR.
Oh, they don't mind.
Could have been an old man just running a convenience store on the corner. Oh, you're Japanese? Get out!
Yeah, that
was FDR's motto.
There was a father of a dad of a guy that I played sports with in high school that was put into a internment camp by FDR. Mr. Liberal, Mr. Loving, tolerant, liberal, but. That's not racist. See, that's the history that they want to sweep under the rug.
They want to sweep under the rug.
Okay, let's hear it.
Most anti-Jewish quotas, that discrimination against women was rampant. Once you start rewriting history of African Americans in this country, you have to start rewriting history of discrimination against many, many other groups. Look, we're both a nation of immigrants and a nation of discrimination against immigrants. That's an important history for us to remember. And the other important thing is, do not glorify the violent people who are now tearing down the statues. Many of these people, not all of them, many of these people are trying to tear down America.
Amen, brother.
Probably all of them, actually.
Antifa is a radical, anti-American, anti-free market, communist, socialist, hard left, censorial organization that tries to stop speakers on campuses from speaking. They use violence, and just because they're opposed to fascism and to some of these monuments shouldn't make them heroes of the liberals.
Right.
But CNN said that Antifa is just trying to seek peace through violence. They're patriots.
Peace through violence by clubbing anybody they disagree with over the head. And by the way, they label anybody they disagree with. For example, if you believe in free speech, if you believe in the First Amendment, you are a fascist and therefore must be clubbed over the head by Antifa.
Speech, according to these hate-filled
is free
idiots,
speech.
No, they don't. They think that anything that they deem as hate speech is not free speech.
Yeah, they're the arbiters. These anti-American communist haters. But as soon as we can declare these goons a hate group, a terrorist organization, the better off the country will be, and it can't come soon enough, because these guys are cowards, but they won't stop until they are put in jail where they belong. So there was this atheist group, which I like to call them God haters or anti-God or anti-Christ, which that's what they are. They're not ambivalent, like, well, we're not sure how we all got here. We're not sure how the trees just happened. We're not sure how the complexity of the human brain just randomly happened. We're not sure if there's a God. They actually hate God.
Yep.
They hate Jesus Christ, and they hate the principles, the godly, all-American, biblical principles that America was founded on. So here's this Antichrist group, and they're trying to bash Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, who ran against Mitch McConnell, by the way, and Trump supported Rhino McConnell. And now that's coming back to bite him in the ass, justifiably so. But here's these great people. What's the name of this group? Oh, Freedom from Religion Foundation. There's no freedom from religion in this country, Busters. There's the freedom to express your religion. There's no freedom from religion. Don't make stuff up. But anyway, they called the Holy Bible a, quote, hate-filled book. And they said that God, who they don't believe in, but yet they're acknowledging that he exists, otherwise why would they be complaining about him, is worse than, quote, white supremacist thugs.
Shocker. You know, that's the what's the word? Not the ghost, but the boogeyman du jour right now. White supremacists.
Oh, yeah.
The free speech rally in Boston.
Just label somebody a white supremacist, and that silences all dissent.
Yep, the free speech rally in Boston had been planned long before the events in Charlottesville. But Antifa caught wind of it, and so, of course, they had to designate it a white supremacist rally. And, of course, idiots at CNN and the likes complied with them.
So, you know, the Bible that has some radical, you know, hateful ideas like, you know, doing to others as you would have them doing to you. And
love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor
as you would love thyself.
Right. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. You know, really hateful things like that. I mean, those are the commandments. But according to this Antichrist group, the Freedom from Religious Foundation, another communist front group, quote, you know, if we followed the edicts of the Bible, it would lead to, quote, increased levels of all manner of societal ills, including violent crime and homicide, poverty, obesity, teen pregnancy, and infant mortality.
Teen pregnancy?
So, you know, the
What
the Bible teaches against fornication.
I think
against
you're mistaking the Bible
of
with Planned Parenthood's playbook on how to get your girlfriend in the backseat of a car and learn how to use a condom that we provide you that doesn't work like a pickle.
Good Lord. I mean, they're absolute liars. And then they have the gall to say this, quote, the Ku Klux Klan is and has always been a Christian group.
Oh my God. Will you acknowledge that they're a Democrat group? Doubtful.
You know, when I went to Sunday school as a little boy, they taught me, you know, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. But yet, these absolute America-hating communists are just lying. You know, Hitler was a Roman Catholic, and is that why he closed down all the churches?
Oh my God! Are you
is that
serious?
Why Hitler closed all the churches because he was such a great Roman Catholic? These
God
people
haters.
are going to burn in hell.
God haters.
Yeah, they're God haters. So what has got these intolerant a-holes butthurt is that Matt Bevin, the governor of Kentucky, wants to return the Bible to be taught in public schools. Now, what could be wrong? What could go wrong? Oh, their kids are actually taught morality again? You know, my mom told me this. As soon as they took the Bible out of the schools, as soon as they stopped teaching right from wrong, as soon as they started teaching moral relativism, you know, well, what's right for you is not necessarily right for me. No, there's right and wrong.
Right.
As soon as they got away from that, that's when schools went downhill.
Tubes.
Yep. And that is exactly right. Don't you think?
I definitely think, you know, I mean, you hear about this bullying in schools. There was no bullying in schools years ago. The left has worked
Well, not to any large degree.
Not to any large degree. Did it happen? Yes, it did. But not to where national news is talking about it. The left has worked overtime to strip God out of society, to take God out of society, to teach young girls to spread their legs and to teach young boys how to put a condom on their you-know-what so that they can, the young girls, and then, oh, but don't worry, if you accidentally get pregnant, we'll just kill your baby.
Yeah, at Planned Butcherhood.
At Planned Butcherhood. So there's been so much just disgusting, what's the word I'm looking for? Perversion.
Yeah.
For our society by the left.
And then after you murder your baby and pay us for your services, we'll refunnel that back into the Democrat Party.
No. Even worse than that. After you murder your baby and pay us for it, we're going to make a little bit more money off of you by selling their body parts.
Oh my God, that's right.
Because we're going to illegally do the abortion, the killing of your baby, so that the best parts that can be sold for the highest price will get us the most money.
Yep. So here's what Kentucky Governor, God bless him, Matt Bevin, said, standing up to these leftist lunatics. When you go back a couple of hundred years, in most instances, the only textbooks that were in our public schools were the Bible. Correct. He goes on, and it's interesting, the more we've removed any sense, I'm getting hiccups, any sense of spiritual obligation or moral higher authority or absolute right and wrong, the more we've removed things that are biblically taught from our society, the more we've seen the kind of mayhem that we were just discussing. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Guess what? When you don't teach kids right from wrong, they don't know right from wrong.
When you don't teach kids to respect life, they don't respect life in any capacity.
Or laws.
Whether it is going in and killing their baby because they just think it's an inconvenience and my body, my choice, or
and Hillary told them that.
Bullying other kids because, you know what? I don't care about your feelings. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. You know, like that young girl in, I forget which state it was, who basically coached her boyfriend to suicide.
It's just tragic. Just tragic. Well, it's because we have gone away from a moral compass. This country was founded on a set of fixed principles that have worked over thousands of years that work when they are followed. Doesn't mean we perfectly follow them or anything like that. You know, we're all fallible, but our brilliant founding fathers, and if you don't think they're brilliant, if you don't think the education was better in the 1700s than it is now, just read their writings and then read the idiots that they're raising today. Read the brilliant writings of our founding fathers that had these, third grade educations in dirt floors, and they are so much more articulate than any of the useful idiots and dupes that you see on TV today, the so-called intellectuals. Yeah, they're so smart. My dad used to call them educated idiots. And it was so right because, if you've gone to, unless you had a really strong moral foundation growing up, going to college nowadays just means you've been brainwashed into being a communist. Mm-hmm. So, anything else that you have tonight, hon, for the good of the order here?
I don't think I have much else. Just pay attention tomorrow to how the left-stream Democrat media complex covers Trump's speech tonight. What was it? What did he see, honey? Don Lemon. Actually, I don't know in what capacity. I just saw the headline. Actually said Donald Trump is trying to rewrite history. Are you serious?
These Antifa types trying to pull down statues.
Have defended people who have tried to pull down statues of American
They're not
history.
trying to.
Says you who have defended the Democrats who have rewritten their racist past. Seriously?
Oh, here's what he said. Here's what Don Kremlin. I got that from you.
Thank you.
Hat tip Jennifer Burke. Don Kremlin. He called Trump's speech in his 2-minute monologue. This is courtesy of the Washington Free Beacon if you want to go see it. He said, there was no sanity there. It was without reason and devoid of facts. It was actually full of facts.
Right?
I mean, he actually read his speech where he called out neo-Nazis and declared that racism is evil, and you people actually lied about it over and over, and then stacked your panels with liars that are just as insane as you are, Don Kremlin. Now, go back to your lover and go back to bed because you have no interest in the truth. Okay. Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap, hon.
Okay, cool. Thank you again, you guys, for tuning in to this episode 14 of
The Burke Brigade.
Brought to you by The Liberty Daily at thelibertydaily.com.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. Share it with your friends, family, and everyone you know.
Today's Tuesday, August 22nd. Good night, everybody. God bless you.
And God bless America.